Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Red for Anfield Index. What a day, what a game, what a finish, what a second goal, what a let-off at the end, what a favour by another side, what a table, what a season it has been so far. There is so much to talk about and so much to like, ladies and gents. I'm your normal host, Dave Davis, coming to you from who really gives it whatever about the weather. It's all about what the Reds are doing right now, isn't it? In all honesty. Now, my colleague Grizz Khan is expecting me to go to him, see how he's feeling, but there's a little surprise we've got for everyone just before we get there. If you're watching, you get double bubble. If you're listening, let's just take you back to yesterday. I mean, Grizz, limbs everywhere, absolute scenes. How good was that let off yesterday?
You know, it's the most bittersweet clip that you've played. And, you know, I didn't know you was going to play it. And now looking back at that. So I had tickets and Brentford is about an hour and a half away from me. But I wasn't feeling well. I don't know if you can tell in my voice. I wasn't feeling well. And it's been bitterly cold here down south. Right, as they'd say, down south, it's been bitterly cold. And I thought I'd give it a miss. How much of a wally am I to give that a miss? I mean, that scene, Dave, we could actually do a show. I'm serious. If we done a show just to analyze the different reactions and the different things we saw in that clip, I think we could do 45 minutes very comfortably. Honestly, it's brilliant. This is what we love watching football for. The let-off, all the anxiety and the stress and the nerves of the 5 seconds preceding that, we just let off, and it was magnificent. The couple of mates that went, they were just trying to FaceTime me and said, you missed out on the most amazing ending. And obviously it coincides with the tension of the title race, the position we found ourselves in going in before the 2 draws. This would have been the 3rd game without a win. You know, you put all that together. And then add to that, Dave Davis, you add to that, and the goal scorer is Darwin Nunez. What an amazing couple of minutes.
Yeah, there really is about 64 million things to debrief and chat about this, ladies and gents. So we're going to try and sort of run through them in good time without rushing too much, because you've got to savor these moments. You really have. And we've got to go to the main man first of all. What did Arne Slot say post-match? Now, if you haven't heard this, I just enjoy the first 3 words he says. Listen to them carefully, but listen to what Arne Slot said about this
display.
game.
How many teams were able against Brentford to have 37 shots on target during a game? And now, because of our scoring too, probably there's a bit of emphasis on that fact as well. But so this is the industry we work in. As a manager, the team, the players, we all accept this, and we all understand this, that there's a lot of focus on if it doesn't go well, and not as much on the fact if you have a great performance. So we are an industry where it's about winning and losing, and not about if you play beautiful football, yes or no. People only enjoy good football, beautiful football if you win.
Honestly, Grizz, I was seeing some comments yesterday on social media saying Liverpool get lucky again. That we absolutely battered Brentford for 90 plus minutes in this one. There's no luck involved, was there?
It's mental how people perceive or watch and analyze football. And I'll go back 45 minutes, Dave. You spoke about the 90 minutes of battering of Brentford away game. Notoriously tough team to be at home. In tremendous form this season, have taken scalps galore of bigger teams. But let's go back 45 minutes in the second half of Nottingham Forest as well, because it was a continuation of that momentum, that attitude, the hunger, the desire that we showed in the second half of Forest. We needed to continue it and don't start like the first half of Nottingham Forest. For me, and I don't know about you and the people that are watching and listening now, for me, it was chalk and cheese between the first half of Nottingham Forest and the first half of Brentford. Yeah. I thought the application, and that's always the key. The talent is there in our team. We know this. Of course we know this. But we need to apply ourselves at the start of the game. And that's been a slight criticism, that the application is not there, or we start off slow for whatever reason, and no one really knows. Otherwise, we'd be millionaires if we knew the reasons to some of the complex questions in the world. But we do. But I thought it was a much more conviction about our start. We knew the task in hand almost. We rolled up our sleeves. We won our duels, which is exactly what we didn't do against Nottingham Forest. And then eventually, we let the talent do the talking. But you gotta, as goal ratio says, hard earned. You gotta earn these type of wins. And my God, no one can doubt that we earned that.
Yeah, full of hard work, fully deserved, no two ways about it. And it would be good if we could see some earlier goals, and a few people are commenting that in the chat panel. Let's see if Arne Slot was as confident early on. Let's see how honest he was in this bit of the post-match press conference.
If the goal was coming, if I had any doubt. Yes, of course I had doubts about that, because it's before we scored the 2 goals, it felt as if I was looking at the same game again and again and again, and the same pattern arised. So I said it already a few times in other interviews, that against United everybody was focused on the Maguire chance, but the 7 minutes before we had 3 open chances. So many times in the recent weeks against Tottenham as well, we missed a lot of chances. Against Forest we missed a lot. So would have been a bit surprising if I felt, okay, after all these chances missed today, we will probably score in the last.
You can see it. It did have a bit of a deja vu element, didn't it? Let's be honest, Grizz. We'd seen this. We'd seen Matt Sells, as you mentioned, Forrest, before, turn into prime Lev Yashin, and we had just had this feeling. Is there a curse? Do we get, or do we need to get Bruce Grobbelaar to do his business around the goal or something? It just had that feeling. But it's all right to admit that now, isn't it?
I love his honesty. I honestly love his honesty. And you know what? I know you're playing just clips of his press conference. I have no issues listening to this guy talk for all the show. Honestly, I love listening to him. He's so honest. He's so clear in what he's saying. And he's right. Yeah. You can't be thinking it's going to go, you can have doubts. It's absolutely fine. We were battering them. Keeper was pulling off saves. We were missing chances. Anxious in our finishing, I'd say. I don't know if the pressure was getting to us, or it's just a bit of a rough patch. The starting front three are going through right now. But look, I don't know about you, but I was despondent. I was thinking, it's going to be one of those games where we're going to look back at the XG, we're going to look back at the chances, how many shots, total domination, and we're going to have a 0 at the end of it. But then what happened. But look, he's honest. He's being absolutely honest. And he's talking like a fan almost, or a supporter that was watching that game, and said, he said, I would be mad if I thought, if I wasn't worried, if I had any doubts whatsoever. And I think he's absolutely spot on.
Yeah, I agree. We're almost what we're going to be talking about this week, and thinking Lille was going to be come up. And in about the 89th minute, I'm thinking, like you said, we're going to be saying great XG, great stats, great possession and all this, but 1 point from it. And just, it's funny, isn't it, how goals or just moments make matches and just change the mood completely. And when we talk about changing the mood completely, Grizz, the subs bench has got to get a bit of praise here. And let's just listen to specifically what he called out, or who he called out, more importantly.
So it's so nice for me, for us as a team, that I have players that can impact the game on the bench as well. So this happened in Forest with Jota and Costas, and today with Harvey and with Darwin. If you only focus on results, again, if you also focus on performance, what I do, I also like Drubbo and Curtis when they came in, and Federico was only for 5 minutes. So
I mean, he names the whole supporting cast. And let's be honest, Grizz, we've got to separate Nunez a little bit from this as well, because we've got to give him his flowers shortly. But it felt like we've asked that question, does he trust everyone? Does he really believe how much in Chiesa, Elliott? And whether he wanted to or not, they came on yesterday. Those subs played a massive part, didn't they?
Yeah. Do you know, obviously the original title of Tinkerman was given to Ranieri, wasn't it? In terms, but that was more about team rotation and how he kept changing the team from team to team. But I want someone to think of a name for Arne Slot in terms of the changes he makes and the impact that they have on the game, on the pace of the game. You know, how they affect the game. I think he's brilliant at it. I think he has been brilliant at it. Yes, he's made a couple of substitutions, and I can only think of a couple of games where we were worse off. Nottingham Forest first time, the first game at Anfield, and Man United at home the second time, where I thought that the substitutions were had slightly a negative impact as opposed to a positive impact. Everything else has been bang on. And yesterday, the said players that he's talked about, of course, we're going to talk about the main man himself, but I thought Elliott, Chiesa, Curtis Jones were absolutely fantastic when they came on, Dave. Everyone knew they had a mission, their role. It was very clear and very specific. He had a long chat with Elliott and Jones, and, you know, instructions were given galore, and they took it. And they don't care about their place in the team, and they don't care about being sort of upset. This is all about squad building and harmony. And for him to be in the position that we're in his first season, not really knowing the personality and the characters of the players he's dealing with, because he's a newcomer, and to be able to convince everyone of the project, and you will have your chances. Just trust me. Let me work with you guys, and we will be successful. Everyone in the squad believes, Dave. Everyone in the squad is happy, Dave. And that is huge and massive in 2025, when we see so much players, clubs from other teams not happy with their positions in the team, not happy being sub, wanted to leave the club. We're in a fantastic position. And this man's just literally, Dave, I've just fallen in love with him. Honestly, he's been absolutely nothing short of stunning on the pitch and off the pitch as well.
Yeah, I think like you, love the honesty, and you're right. It just look at that. That's the idea there from Mr. Marquardt, formation whisperer. I'm not sure that's going to catch on, Mr. Marquardt, but it's the first entrant we've got.
It's a great effort. It's a great effort for a first entry.
Yeah, we'll call it a starting point there in that regard. But yeah, just it's so important. We've seen this time and time again. The Elliots, when they need to come on against a low block and make some magic happen. Chiesa now he can throw in the mix. I mean, we're going to have to get to the main man. I feel like I'm holding back on this because the Nunez magic show was absolutely superb. And there's various quotes from him. He did a good interview yesterday that got translated on Sky Sports. But just even these quotes I want to put to you there, Grizz, where he says, I think you have to stay strong mentally, never give up. Yes, there are moments that are very difficult for us players. For me, it's right now. But I never throw the towel in. I always carry on working. In training, if I need to stay and practice more, I stay to improve. I think the work that I do on the pitch to help the team to defend as well. I think I've always done it well, but I haven't scored goals. And I know people look at that. The striker has to score goals. I mean, we've been questioning about, I think it's fair to say, it's understandable why most fans have questioned him at certain parts, but he came up with a couple of answers big time yesterday, didn't he?
Yeah, look, the criticism has been, I feel, warranted. Okay. I am not going to suddenly say it's been unfair. He's been a success. Everything has been smooth, no problems whatsoever. So we can separate issues and talking points here. We don't always have to be so reactionary and change our opinion about everything at after every incident or game or piece of information that's given to us. Now we know he scored 2 goals last night that enabled Liverpool to extend their lead at the top of the table. We know he's part of a squad that is in the position that it is. And so we have to respect him for that. Okay. We have to respect him and show him the effort and the desire and the attitude he shows every time he's on the pitch. We have to praise him for that. We have to give him his flowers for that. But then in the same sentence, we also can say, but overall, his career hasn't been great at Liverpool. Overall, he is our record signing. And I know that's not his problem or that's not his fault, but he is our record signing. He is our striker that was supposed to have scored more goals. That's only that's 3 goals in the Premier League now. Of course, he's not played as much, but he's not played as much because the manager doesn't trust him as much as the other forwards at his disposal. It's up to Nunez. Dave, it's simple as that. It's up to Nunez to continue to A, score goals, B, be a part of the system that Slot trusts him in and gives him more game time. Because he can easily turn around and say, I need more chances. Well, the reason why you're not getting more chances is because Slot doesn't think you're doing enough, either in training or in the instructions that he's giving you in training or when you're on the pitch. I'm chuffed to bits for him. I'm not a fan of his, but I'm an absolute supporter of his. When he wears the Liverpool shirt and he scores the goal, I cheered more for Nunez's goal than a Salah goal. Make that make sense. The reason for that is because I'm a Liverpool supporter, first and foremost. And I agree with, I totally disagree with any abuse that's given to any Liverpool player. Full stop. Criticism absolutely is fine, but abuse is a no go. And he has received abuse, and it does affect him because we know he's a mentally sensitive, let's say, type of guy. And I was so happy when he scores, it just hits differently. The dopamine that he creates, like sort of when Nunez scores a goal, it's different. And I don't know how you explain it or how anyone else explains it, but it is. He's almost a cult hero of Liverpool, I'd say, and other people have their own opinions on him. But as long as he's at Liverpool and he carries on showing the attitude and the desire and the hunger he showed, I will support him to the absolute rafters. And yesterday, as I said, I cheered his goals, and people were saying, "Oh, how dare you cheer his goals when you don't rate him?" What the F does that even mean? Like, if you don't how does that make any sense whatsoever? Does that mean I just be a sad nobody and just not cheer him? Oh, it's only Nunez. No, I support Liverpool. I support every player that plays for Liverpool. You don't have to rate every player that plays for you, but the least you can do is support every player that plays for you. And I absolutely support him. Chuffed to bits for him, Dave. I thought when he took that shot about 10 minutes earlier where Trent went ballistic at him, I thought, my God, Darwin, my God. But then 10 minutes later, he's the talk of the town.
Yeah, and he well deserves it. And you see just the difference that confidence makes, because it's a nice slot for the first. And the second one, I mean, it's good that Harvey Elliott gets an assist, but it's that just almost the quick feint, the touch from Nunez and smashing it in. That's confidence. You could see the confidence in him all of a sudden and just the absolute difference it makes to him. And we've talked about Nunez's confidence before, Grizz. He can be sometimes what I call a streaky player, for want of a better expression. He kind of goes on little runs now and again. Do you think it's worth giving him a bit of a run in the team now? Do you think we'll see him start regularly and go from there?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that he'll start against Lille. And then Ipswich, I think, will depend on his performance and his sort of fitness levels, and obviously Jota's injury situation. I don't know if you want to segue into this sort of Diaz role position, because I thought we did lack a focal point yesterday, just like Forest as well. We lacked a focal point. Things changed obviously when Jota came on against Forest and Nunez came on versus Brentford. But that could also be tactical. I don't know what you guys think again. It could be tactical in terms of we battered them down, we confused them, and by the time our frontmen came, they were very tired, and their powers of concentration, the structure that they had in place, the low block maybe wasn't as strong, as effective, as in place as it would have been with Nunez or Jota there. So there was more space for the likes of Nunez and Jota to operate. There is a couple of ways of looking at it. There's a few ways of looking at it. But Dave, look, he's going to be given Lille, all right? And let's see how he goes from there, because we know even last season he scored a couple of crazily important goals at the time against Nottingham Forest in the last minute, Newcastle in the last minute, and he didn't kick on. I mean, that's the fact. That's the reality of it. And we can't really afford for him to be given starts and not kick on, but the opportunity will be there. The opportunity will be there. And then it's up to him, as I'll keep saying again and again and again. The opportunity will be there. It's up to him. And if he can end up the season with double figures, my God, he will be an absolute cult hero. He will have close to, because I don't think he's anywhere close to Origi levels of cult hero-ness. He will be close to Divock Origi levels of legendary status at Liverpool.
Yeah, will be interesting. You think of yesterday, that goes alongside Forest last season, doesn't it? Newcastle, 10-men double. So a few more days like that, Darwin, and you will start to put a little bit of pressure on Divock. And listen, we're all there to see it. We'd all love it to happen. But exactly as you said, it's great. He's absolutely brilliant. He deserves all the praise you can give him for yesterday. Got to back it up now. Got to do it again. And maybe he's a streaky player. Maybe it might be only for a few games. Who knows? But it's important, and you cannot deny that yesterday. And speaking of players we can't deny, I mean, these two yesterday, it felt like for me, Grizz, Ibu was back. I know he's been back in the games, but he's admitted he rushed himself back to help the team. He's not quite been up to speed. But yesterday, these two just showed how they're the best in the league by a country mile when they're on it, aren't they?
Not close. Honestly, there's nothing close, especially the way we are set up, where it's a lot of one-on-one duels that you have to encounter. We're not a low block team. We don't sit back in our penalty box and defend like the old school John Terrys and the Cavalios of past, where they were just asked to defend their penalty box, clearance after clearance, block after block. We're asked to play a high line. We're asked to play against speedy wingers, attackers, one-on-one. We're asked to be comfortable in possession. We're asked to be breaking lines with our possession, and then automatically switch on when we lose possession. The things that these two are asked to do is fantastic, and the level that they're doing it at is elite. There's not a doubt in my mind, absolute doubt, any doubt in my mind, that they are by far the best two centre-backs in world football as a partnership. And I'd say as individuals, Konate is very much in the top 5 centre-backs in world football right now. Honestly, I'd struggle to think of 4 or 5 better centre-backs than our very own Ibu Konate. Now, I saw a clip of him for the first goal yesterday. You know, when you see and you try to look out for everyone's reaction, he didn't sprint over, and he was quite tired. It looked fatigued. And I pray that Slot is watching this, and his analytical team and data analysts, they know far more than any one of us. But please rest him. Don't play him against Lille, Arnie, please. You can tell, you're absolutely spot on. And he alluded to it, that he's 70% fit. I just hope that he gets a whole week off, because a fit Ibu Konate with a fit Virgil van Dijk, I don't think anyone pips us to this league title if they remain fit, Dave.
Yeah, that's the big word, isn't it? Fit. You've got to keep these two fit. And I think you're right. In games like Lille, it's made for, as a few people are saying, the likes of Jarell Quansah. We just cannot take risks with the quality of these boys. And speaking of the quality of certain players, Trent again. I mean, you know it, and quite understandably, you got stick galore in the United game. But just since then, Grizz, with almost a quietness, but a certain aplomb. And yesterday he gets another assist. He was brilliant in this one again, wasn't he?
Oh, sensational. Honestly, if people haven't checked out my post-match reaction, go and check it out, please, on my channel, Football Carnage. And I couldn't stop talking about his last 20 minutes. Now, overall, I thought he was very, very good. But Dave, in that last 20 minutes, he showed me everything that he didn't in the Manchester United game. He showed us attitude, desire, mentality, and no shortage of skill. He took the game by the proverbial scruff of the neck and said, no way are we dropping points in this. He took shots, he drove into midfield, he covered ground, he sprinted when he lost the ball, taking corners, then sprinting back. He was up against a very, very good pairing of Vissa and Mbeumo. And then very cleverly, tactically, I thought Thomas Frank thought he would capitalize on that side by bringing on the speedy Shader. I think that's how you say his name, the Brentford attacker. So he thought we'll capitalize. Yeah. Well, Trent not only managed to control him on the whole, but took his game to another level in the last 20 minutes. It ended up Shader was doing defensive work galore because Trent's energy was sensational, and we know about his quality. And I thought his desire to not give up with that pass, to make the run in the 91st minute or 90th minute, whatever it is, to make that run, not his usual run into midfield and just get the ball and spring it. No, he actually made an effort to make that 30-40 yard run. A beautifully weighted pass from Harvey. And Trent just doesn't give up. The first gets blocked, and then the second was a precise. I don't care what anyone says. People have been saying, oh, he just smashed it across in the hope someone was there. Silly, silly people, if you think that. You're very silly and you haven't watched enough football. Go and watch more football and go and watch more Trent Alexander-Arnold football, because he meant that pass straight into the feet of Darwin. And look, Darwin Nunez, he's missed a lot of chances in the past where you think you can't miss, but he couldn't miss from there. And that was brilliant. Absolutely class from Trent Alexander-Arnold yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely was sensational. And you're right, because you talk about that last 20 minutes and you talk about his attitude. This is the stuff that sometimes gets missed. The two breakaways you see Brentford have, which come to nothing. What I adore about those is I'm seeing Trent going full speed, chasing back with all his heart as well. There's no sort of meandering around in midfield or anything like that. He knows exactly what's expected of him and he's responded to it. And another assist yesterday, you know, we won't talk about the long term. We'll just pray for that. But so much to like. And the final bit of this, because people might be wondering, why did it just say Brentford game on the screen? Grizz, does Brentford have a feeling that it's going to be up there like United when Salah slots the last minute 1-2-0 and the top comes off, or Villa away when Andy Robertson equalises, then Sadio Mane puts the header in pretty much the last minute in injury time? Does this one, as in title-defining moment, have that feel for you?
Yeah, every season or every successful season, you do look back at a moment or a game or an incident or, an occasion that you think, that was the moment, or you feel the moment and you feel. I don't know about you. I haven't had it this season so far. We've been mechanical. We've been plodding along. If we got a winner against Forest, that would have been definitely one. And then you go away to Brentford, and it's very much the same story, chance after chance. And you think to yourself, damn. And look, let's be honest. We kind of expected Arsenal to be win at home to Villa, because the momentum, the encouragement that would have given them, right? And we don't have to discuss it, or we may touch upon it later. But every season you look for that moment that you have a feeling. And you're right, Villa, in previous seasons. Manchester United in previous seasons. Leicester City away, as you said, in previous seasons. For me, this was the moment, Dave. I thought, look, we've been talking every week, and I alluded to these two games, and I said this is going to be a pivotal two games back to back away from home against probably two of the toughest teams. Now, on paper, if you didn't look at the table or whatever, and you'd think Brentford away, Forest away, we're expected to pick up 6 points. But if you look at it in the context of this season, they are two of the better teams in the Premier League. Not your Man Uniteds, not your Chelseas, not your Spurs, not your Man Cities even. These two are the informed teams and have been playing very well. Brentford, let's not forget, were very unlucky not to smash Man City the other day. It ended up 2-2, but by all accounts and reports, they should have won. They've beaten Arsenal, Man City, Nottingham Forest have taken scalp after scalp. They are sitting second until yesterday, or I don't know if they're still second. They may be second. So these two games are going to be defining. And in terms of moments, for me, and look, some people are saying, don't go too early. Let's calm down a bit. But for me, right now, they are very defining moments. What happened in those last couple of minutes, for me, were very defining. It's a glorious feeling at the moment. And let's hope and pray that we can finish the job because, my God, what a job. What a job.
Yeah, there is just so much to like about yesterday. And we know people like us, you're still going to watch the goals, you're still going to seek content, as they say, inject it into our veins because that is what we are looking for and that is what we're here to talk about. But straying a bit into off the field matters yesterday, Grizz, we saw the head coach give his thoughts galore. One clip, you might have seen it from Virgil van Dijk. A lot of people have delved into this. It's a very short clip. It's only 10-15 seconds in case anyone hasn't heard it, hasn't heard what Virgil van Dijk actually said yesterday. Let me just play it to you and then we'll have a quick chat about this one.
Every win is a big result, especially when the teams around us are very strong. They obviously strengthen themselves as well, probably. So we have to stay consistent, win games and perform well.
It's only a short one, but I've got to be honest, Chris, I've seen a lot of comments about this. And, you know, January windows, etc. is always going to come up. Did you take this as kind of a nudge to FSG, a dig at FSG, or do you think it was just his honest assessment of this situation?
Oh, call me boring and call me, not controversial. I genuinely thought it was a general comment. I thought his opinion and assessment that, look, we've got strong teams around us and they're probably going to get stronger, a couple of them. I think he's got enough to think about and worry about it with his own contract. Not worry, okay? I don't want to put stuff out there and people start talking more. I don't think it was a dig at the owners at this stage. That's just my personal hunch and my personal feeling. I just think he just expressed how he feels and how probably the team feels. Like, we've got a stronger position around us. A couple of them will get stronger probably. And I think he was more referring to sort of, this how they perceive and how they feel about the situation. Like, others are getting stronger. I don't think it was a dig per se. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you think. I don't think it was. People can interpret how they want, but just from my opinion, I don't think it was a dig as such. Does anyone? Do you?
I'm probably leaning towards no. Like you said, we'll never know exactly what's going on in Virgil van Dijk's head, so you can't say unequivocally like it's this or that.
Yeah.
I think, to be fair to me, the way I look at this is our captain, this is our leader speaking. This is a focusing of minds and saying, listen, others are going to get stronger. They're going to probably make moves in the January window. We cannot afford to drop, let it slip, dip our focus, whatever phrase you wish to insert in there. That's how I took it. I can understand, though, and I think sometimes this comes from a manifestation, what we want and we want to happen. Listen, we'd all love a left back to come in. I don't think anyone debates that. We'd all love a bit of strengthening, but I still think it's a little bit of a leap to say that is what Virgil is saying. But I also get, and this was a fair point someone made, Grizz, the last time he said something around transfers like this, Cody Gakpo turned up the next morning, didn't he, type of thing, going back a few years. So I get people will be looking for that, but similar to you, could be wrong, not seeing too much.
Yeah, I mean,
but
look,
I'll tell you what, I am seeing something. Go on.
No, I was going to say, you're right. We will never know, and we don't know, right? None of us know, but we're just giving our opinions on sort of listening and sort of reacting. And if you listen to the whole interview, which you always should, he's talking about the state of play and sort of, like you said, we need to remain focused because there is other teams. It wasn't just I think it would be different if he just said that without everything else. In terms of if he wasn't asked about that and he brought it up. But, he just said, look, we need to stay focused. We need to keep doing because there's good teams around us who probably get stronger and we need to stay on top of our game. So the context of the answer, to me, suggests there wasn't a dig.
Yeah. And the other thing is a good thing to think about. If Virgil van Dijk's got a dig to make, he will be clear and unequivocal on that. He will not hide anything. He's quite open. He's quite expressive, our captain, our leader, isn't he? So, yeah, I think it wouldn't be as subtle. But this one yesterday, Grizz, and I was actually laughing to myself. I was typing up that strapline there. Oh, dear, Arsenal. I mean, 2-0 up, not long to go, absolutely cruising, it seemed, at the Emirates, and Aston Villa and Ollie Watkins especially do us a favour. I mean, we look at that, and to be now 6 points clear with a game in hand, fair play to Aston Villa, just made it a little bit sweeter on Saturday, didn't they?
Oh, what a fantastic bonus. The cherry on the cake would have been obviously no points, but hey, listen, we'll take the icing. Right, I think icing comes first, and then the cherry goes on top, I guess. So we'll take the icing. We'll take the icing on the cake without the cherry. Fine, no problem. 2-0 up, and you think to yourself, no problem. They've done what they had to do, and fair play to them. And then, I mean, football's wild, isn't it? Football is amazing. This is the game. This is why we love the game so much. I mean, Unai Emery hounded pretty much hounded Dave out of the Emirates, criticized galore, and look what he's gone and done since he's left Arsenal Football Club. Look what he's gone and done where people have trusted him and let him have, a free, not a free reign, but, let him do his job in a bit of peace and quiet. Fantastic coach. And I love him even more. The turnaround was pretty superb. And then that incident or the disallowed goal at the end was just, I personally think it's a crushing mental blow that I don't think they will recover from personally. But if they do, and they go on a 15-match winning run, then hey, who's to say they don't deserve to win the league title? But looking at all the maths, and obviously there are far more knowledgeable people with numbers and stats than me, it's a very tall order for them to reach 85 points even, I'd say. They need something like, someone was telling me 14 wins or something like that out of the remaining 16 fixtures. I'm not sure about those numbers, but someone can confirm with me. But 13, 14 wins out of the remaining 16. Can anyone see Arsenal winning 13, 14 games in a row in the state they're in? No. And I think yesterday was not the final blow, but I think it was quite a crushing blow for them.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we've seen it. And there was a great tweet, I can't remember who put it out, but everyone's talked about our crisis. And since the 1st of December, Liverpool and Arsenal pretty much have got the exact same number of points. But if you look at Liverpool's run of fixtures, whereas Arsenal spent a month in London anyway, pretty much at home, and, had probably an easier period. And like you said, it literally, they have to go near on perfect to get near 90 points. Do we think they're going to do that? It looks a mad ask. And I did want to ask you the one thing about it, because I think you're right. I think it kind of dented them, if not fully broke them. You sense that mental fragility now, don't you, with Arteta? I was getting seasick watching his interview as he was going side to side and stressing yesterday. injuries, everything like that. Just the fan reactions. By the way, Specsavers must be set to make a fortune from these Arsenal fans who don't understand what handball is and what parts of the body work where. That's all I can think. But you just sense a mental fragility around Arsenal as our biggest rivals, don't you?
Yeah, there is. They're a very emotional set of players, it seems, and we know they're a very, very emotional set of fans. And their reactions at the end of the game against Spurs, I thought again were just over the top. Like, I didn't understand. They're celebrating, and I'm not a celebration police, especially after what we witnessed yesterday. But look at the contrast and difference of where we're at and where you are in the grand scheme of things, and have some sense, and just don't make twats of yourself. like basically, in a sense, like just show some humility. And the way the manager even talks about, trust me, believe me, if Liverpool slip up, we will be there. He's talking like sort of he's done this before, or he has great experience. If Pep was saying all of that, some of us may be worried, petrified, some may even be, or shaken, like, oh my God, he's still focused on it. But when you hear it from someone like Mikel Arteta, who hasn't achieved anything in the game, and when he talks with such arrogance and some would say delusion, you think to yourself, you're not doing yourself any favors whatsoever. Yesterday, I heard he was saying we were the most unluckiest team, we deserve to win this and that. I don't know why a bit of dose of reality. Coaches don't come out with a bit of sense and dose of reality and speak the facts, and as opposed to just making yourself feel better. Because half, if not majority of the fan base don't believe what he says, and that's a very bad sign. No. Like, when the majority of your fan base don't actually believe what you're saying, you're making a rod for your own back.
Yeah, I think you said it right back at the start. One of the reasons we've taken to Arne Slot so much is his honesty from the start. He's called it when it's not been good. He's called it when it's been brilliant as well. So fans will buy into that, and fans will respect that. If you could try and sell that delusion, it will only be got away with for so
how many
long.
times,
but
Dave, how many times, Dave, has our manager come out and said, I thought we were rubbish? Because even the reporters have tried to say, oh, do you think, are you happy with this? He goes, no, I'm not happy. I wouldn't say it was a perfect performance. He comes out and criticizes. He says certain players didn't play up to their standards. And we, as you said, you can relate to that. And we can think, all right, this guy is very honest.
Yeah, no two ways about it. You think back to that Chelsea game where he actually has been honest about it a few times, that maybe the better team didn't win that day. How many managers honestly say that? Well, not one in North London, that's for sure. But the final bit I wanted to ask you about, Grizz, Lille. You keep forgetting you have to put our celebrations down very shortly. There is a European game coming up Tuesday now. Now, Liverpool, as you know, are pretty much home and hosed in the Champions League. Is the word rotation for you?
Rotation? I have absolutely no reason and no logic in my own amateurish, very layman's head for any first teamer to be involved. I expected FA Cup team very similar to the one that we picked against Accrington Stanley, probably. Even worse, probably. I don't even think Trent needs any game time rhythm. I think both fullbacks will be changed. I think both centre-backs should be changed. The midfield. Sorry if you can hear my neighbour's dog. I think he's excited as well. Maybe he's an Arsenal fan and didn't like the criticism of Arsenal there. But in terms of Lille, give them on all feet up. Chiesa. I mean, I could pick the team at the top of my head what I would pick. I'd pick a total different back four. Like I said, Endo and Kwanzaa at centre back. I throw in Morton, Elliott, Curtis Jones is in midfield, and then you can throw in Chiesa, Nunez, and I don't know, pick another attacker, whoever, just a youngster or whatever. Give Trey Nyoni another chance, or Dans. There we are, Jaden Dans. There's your front three as well. Yep. Dans, Nunez, and Chiesa. There you go. Chiesa playing in the hole behind Nunez and Dan's. Bit of excitement, something different. There you go. And then Elliott, Jones, and Morton in midfield. That's my team. Honestly, Dave, I have no other explanation or logic to pick any of the the first 11 that have had a very difficult week, Dave. Like we said, 2 away games to Brentford and Forest. They deserve a few days off, because we have Ipswich at home, and we know Ipswich won't be easy. It's not the name, it's the way they're playing. Low block, another Forest type scenario with a very dangerous man up front in Delap. And then I'd say our hardest away fixture left, and I'm saying that with the greatest respect to all the other Man Cities and Chelseas, but right now, Bournemouth away is the hardest fixture, in my opinion, in the league. And we go there. And if we win there,
Yeah. Probably won't finish that sentence as we'll start drooling, to be honest. But I agree with you completely on this. This is one. We never say games don't matter because it's Liverpool, it's the Champions League, it's under the lights, all those types of things.
It literally doesn't.
And you always talk about the next.
Like De Gea says, we need to respect Lille. I wouldn't go for that. Does De Gea know what this game means in terms of the Champions League? Well, let me tell him. It means sweet F all. We are where we are. We cannot go any further, lower in terms of it doesn't affect our future opposition. It doesn't mean absolutely anything. So why does it mean anything to you then, if that's the case? I don't get it. I don't get it.
No, I don't get it. And what I also don't get is you just have that feeling if it is strong. We know what sometimes follows. We think back to that Madrid game where Canate picks that late knock-up type of thing. You just have that fear sort of creeping in. So I'm the same as you, Grizz. Absolutely. It is absolutely fine with me if it's a scratch team, an FA Cup team, whatever you want to call it. Maybe you give a few minutes, bit of fitness, but the stars need to be kept away from that. And to be honest, I was going to ask you sort of the final question. We are bouncing into this week now, aren't we? We are bouncing into Ipswich. We're bouncing into Lille, all these games. There's just an excitement about everything now, isn't there?
I've got a smile on my face because I'm hoping Gags is watching. And if he's not watching, he'll watch it later. I can't wait for the chat G&G on Thursday, because the last couple of weeks, Gags has Gags has been a bit despondent. And I understood it. And I absolutely understood the slight negativity surrounding issues at the club, and of course 2 draws coinciding with the contract chat and the lack of transfers equals a bit of doom and gloom. I didn't see it myself, Dave. I didn't see it. I honestly didn't. I felt upbeat and I thought it's going to turn around, and I'm so happy and glad that the mood has changed. And we will have a good chat on Thursday evening. Make sure you check chat G&G on Thursday 7 p.m, guys. But no, listen. It's amazing what a game of football can do for your mood and the uplifting of the mood. Let's hope we have another week where our emotions are the same, because it will have meant that we've had another successful week and another game week closer to that big prize that's waiting for us at the end of the season.
Yeah, what a prize it would be. And if you're looking for things to fill your moments this week, like you say, Chat G&G will be there. There's also things that have come out. Look at all this content in the last 24 hours. The couple of Daily Reds, Minefield podcasts, Post-Match Raw was out last night. The boys were in fine form, and even a bit of video analysis of yesterday's game to watch as well. Coming up, as you know, Arne Slot will do his press conference tomorrow ahead of the Lille game. We got the watch along. There you go. Chat G&G will be there. There is just content galore coming out on Anfield Index. And it's going to be a mad busy one for you as well, isn't it? I'm guessing, Grizz.
The more Liverpool are involved in the big games, the more busy it is for all of us content creators. Love it. Let's have it. Let's enjoy. Let's cherish these moments. Like I said on my tweet last night, I spent 2.5 hours. I have absolutely no shame in admitting I spent close to 2 hours consuming as much Liverpool content as I could before I went to sleep, and I loved it. There was a massive smile on my face when I went to sleep and a massive smile when I woke up. And this is what Liverpool Football Club does and can do for you.
Yeah. To be honest, if at some part between full time and yesterday, someone was talking to you and you weren't just completely zoned out and in your head, you weren't saying, Nunez, are you really a Liverpool fan? Truth be told, in that regard. So, yeah, what a day, what a weekend, people. And all it leaves me to say, as ever, is Grizz, for the time, for the insight, for answering all the questions put to you. It is much appreciated.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
And ladies and gents, after the Reds leave it late to make our weekend, that was another Daily Red for Anfield.